I am an environmental scientist. I am a public servant. I am a true organizer and believe in organizing our community and ensuring that they have access to resources so they are able to thrive. So, mdare me di tout moun ki ap tande mwen jodi an, mwen se yon moun ki pran position sa. It's very important to me.
Before we explain why the blame was placed on her, let's analyze the emergency call and the warning signs she overlooked. Stay tuned as we dig into this bone-chilling mystery. This is the emergency recording just released by the Coral Springs PD. It's from April 3rd, 2026, and the audio will show you exactly why the whole city is reeling. A woman, whose identity is hidden in the recording, is pacing outside a home in Florida. Even with police on the scene, they're stalling while she desperately begs them to act. We have a significant update tonight regarding the homicide of local official Nancy Metayer Bowen. New information is surfacing about her husband, the man now accused of the crime, as dispatch recordings reveal what truly happened at home. Terrell Forney is on the ground with the latest. Thanks, Terrell. The suspect, who allegedly killed the beloved vice mayor, apparently had a dark obsession with firearms and managed a local religious nonprofit. This tragedy has affected so many people, and many are now gathering at the municipal building for a memorial service starting this evening. With the flag lowered to half-staff, mourners are leaving flowers to honor Nancy Metayer Bowen. This includes many young people she personally coached and led. She was always looking out for everyone else. Every single time we spoke, her first question was about how to help the community. She was incredibly selfless. Relatives rushed to her property on Wednesday after Nancy missed several high-profile appointments without any explanation. Emergency dispatch. What is your location? I'm calling to report a potential crime. The panic in the voices on those recordings is absolutely heart-wrenching. Just kick the door in. Do whatever you have to do to get inside. Ma'am, we share your concern, but we can't just force our way into the home without cause. We need a legal reason to enter. Eventually, they found Nancy's body hidden inside the house, wrapped up in bedding and plastic liners. Investigators believe her husband used a long gun to shoot her 3 times the night before, then simply slept on the first floor. He reportedly confessed this to his relative. Listen, my neighbor's husband came by this morning and admitted he did something terrible to her. Wait, her husband? He was lying. He denied it. Bowen has now been charged with first-degree murder and hiding physical evidence. His social media showed a strange fixation with weaponry. Records show he was a licensed medical technician, most recently employed at a hospital in Delray. Nancy's passing has left a hole in the community. We are doing everything possible to celebrate this phenomenal leader and wonderful human being. She gave her life to the community, especially our children. There is no replacing someone like her. It has been 48 hours since the disaster, yet the pain remains incredibly fresh. We're looking at a 7 o'clock start for the memorial service this evening. The local government isn't running it. However, at least a few public officials are still planning to show up and offer their support. Organizers are asking people to bring white candles and wear orange to honor her memory. That initial call was placed at 1:51 p.m. on April 1st, 2026. By 2:24 that afternoon, she was officially pronounced dead. But there's a specific detail that makes this case unlike any other domestic tragedy you've heard. Every single person in her life, from her closest relatives to the colleagues she worked with daily, remained completely oblivious to the reality that her safety was actually at serious risk. Evidence uncovered by detectives indicates the situation had been simmering long before that evening. That is the story we are covering today. Most folks do not realize how painful that uncle's choice truly was. He walked into a station and turned in his own nephew. He chose justice for a victim over his own blood, which is no small feat. What choice would you have made? Before we look at the crime scene, you need to see how this marriage looked to the public, because that's the real lesson here. Her social media profile listed her as a spouse, a pet owner, an official, and a scientist. In that specific order, being a wife was her top priority. Every anniversary, she shared photos and romantic messages for the man she was building a life with. One caption mentioned 3 years of building dreams together. Another post celebrated 2 years spent with the wonderful Stephen Bowen. They were childhood sweethearts who wed in 2022 and bought a home in 2023. To the outside world, they were the perfect match. State Rep. Marie Woodson mentioned that she and her spouse had spent time with the couple at many events. She told the press she never suspected anything was wrong. A wedding guest and local official, Easton Harrison, said publicly that no one could have predicted this. Those specific words are what I want to focus on. Let's really think about that phrase, because it is both a fact and the most important red flag in this entire narrative. But things don't add up. If everything was so perfect and the posts were so loving, why did he tell his relative she was gone? What was really happening behind those closed doors? She ranked her role as a wife above her career and her advocacy. I keep thinking about that. What do you think she was trying to protect by staying silent? Now, let's piece together that Tuesday, March 31st, hour by hour, using only the facts from the official police report. Sometime that day, Stephen called his mother. He claimed he'd had a mental health crisis while working as a technician at the hospital in Delray. He told her he was heading home to discuss it with Nancy. His mother informed police she wasn't aware of any trouble between them. Near 12 a.m., someone nearby spotted Nancy out with her pet, appearing fine and sticking to her usual habits. Exactly what occurred behind those doors until dawn remains a mystery to investigators. Legal filings reveal the grim sequence of events that followed. A person who gave a statement to authorities claimed Stephen Bowen fired 3 rounds into his spouse while they were in their second-floor suite. He supposedly used a pillow and twine to muffle the sound of the blasts before going downstairs to sleep. Come morning, he bundled her in linens and trash bags. Leaving the corpse in the main suite, he headed toward his uncle's house located in Lauderdale Lakes. Carrying the firearm, he requested that his kin store it for about 14 days. He cautioned about using gloves. While he claimed a sudden anxiety episode, his subsequent actions certainly didn't reflect that state. Everything points toward a calculated plan. Evidence discovered later by police shows the trouble began long before that evening. He claimed to his mom he was having an episode. Soon after, he fired 3 rounds into his spouse and took a nap. Supposedly an anxiety spike, at least that was his excuse to his mother. It was the final moment of sanity anyone witnessed before he committed this atrocity. My mind keeps racing back to the actual events within those walls since none of this looks like a sudden freakout. We are looking at a completely different scenario here. On Wednesday morning, April 1st, Nancy Metayer Bowen had a scheduled city council session. She was a no-show. Luam Germain, a local government employee, sent a message to Stephen Bowen, requesting he check on his wife because colleagues were worried. Stephen replied by saying, "I messaged her but got no response." Germain, she skipped 2 appointments. Any idea where she went? Stephen, where could she be? Her vehicle is gone from the driveway. He kept asking officials about her location while her remains sat in trash bags in the room right over his head. Here is the part that feels wrong. He tried to act worried, but the details just do not line up. A husband truly panicked about his lost partner does not reach out to office workers to report an empty garage. He dials 911. He never made that call. He was fabricating an alibi on the fly. An insider mentioned to Florida Politics that when a colleague finally got Stephen on the line, his tone seemed extremely off. That sketchy behavior pushed someone to notify the authorities. Cops showed up to see if she was okay. No vehicles were present, and nobody answered the door. An investigator circled the house and spotted it. Visible blast-style destruction appeared on the top floor. The wreckage looked like bullet holes coming from the interior of the residence. Tactical teams were summoned. During this time, Stephen Bowen pulled away from his uncle's place. He headed for a Fort Lauderdale lot. He linked up with another Freemason, claiming they needed to talk about a lodge event. Suddenly, he passed over a duffel. It held a scattergun along with boxes of shells. Security footage recorded the entire exchange. Scanners followed his dark Ford F-150 through the South Florida area. Each step was caught on tape and every handoff logged. At 1:51 in the afternoon, his relatives dialed 911. By 2:24, Nancy Metayer Bowen was officially gone. Her life ended the previous evening. At 2:35, Stephen Bowen was apprehended at a complex in Plantation. When police surrounded him, he allegedly remarked, "Well, they finally caught up to me." He had already ditched the weapon. He messaged her co-workers pretending to be clueless. He spent the day cruising around South Florida, leaving digital breadcrumbs for every camera and tracker in town. Lens after lens recorded his every motion. The facade crumbled in under 24 hours. What does such a short window reveal about the reality of his plan? Let us pause here because this specific section is the most vital. Forget the handcuffs and the legal filings. Focus right here. Jepsy Metellus, the head of the Sant Law Leadership Program which mentored Nancy, offered a comment following the tragedy that still haunts me. She stayed busy making a difference, and we had no clue she existed in a private nightmare. That phrase, private nightmare, is heavy, especially coming from a close friend, because the official report says something else. There were 0 previous reports of abuse at their house. Stephen Bowen had no violent record to speak of. No orders of protection existed. Not a single paper trail. The Miami Herald asked for dispatch logs regarding that property. Coral Springs Police Department rejected the request due to the ongoing case. On paper, everything looks spotless, yet Nancy is dead. The space between a perfect history and a body in a trash bag is where the truth hides. No warnings, no arrests, and no obvious alarms for anyone to see. This is incredibly difficult to process, because if tragedy strikes a couple like this, the mystery goes much deeper than just the crime itself. We have to ask ourselves, what signs are going unnoticed in relationships that are still active? There is a secret trend researchers point to in stories like hers. Professionals who study household abuse use a specific phrase to describe the environment inside that residence. They call it coercive control. It represents the deadliest type of domestic mistreatment because it leaves the victim without any physical bruising. This is how that dynamic manifests behind closed doors. First, the outward image appears flawless. The aggressor often comes off as charismatic and respected by neighbors. Stephen Bowen worked in radiology and led a religious charity group, looking like a respectable citizen to everyone. They showed up to parties as a unit. He grinned for the camera. His dark side remained hidden. Second, the partner bears all the internal family stress. Successful women in the spotlight frequently soak up massive pressure from work and family without letting it show. Nancy was still grieving her brother who died 3 months prior. She balanced mourning with a hectic career while getting ready for a run at Congress. Those trapped in controlling dynamics often work extra hard to look okay to the world. Third, the controller dictates the story that everything is great. Nancy shared anniversary posts annually. There were pretty pictures and sweet messages. Specialists point out that victims are frequently trained to keep up appearances of a blissful union. This stems from affection, terror, or a mix of the two. Social media feeds do not reflect the reality of a private home. Fourth, violence explodes when the abuser feels their power slipping. Stephen claimed he had a nervous episode the day of the murder. Psychologists suggest that in these manipulative dynamics, things turn deadly the moment the controller feels they are losing their grip. Nancy was preparing for a major political campaign. She was on the verge of gaining massive influence, recognition, and self-reliance. We still do not know if that was the breaking point. Fifth, there is no specific profile for a victim. Nancy Metayer Bowen was brilliant and accomplished, with a circle of influential friends and assets most would envy. Yet she found no way out or didn't realize she was trapped. Abuse ignores your education, status, or how many followers you have online. The deadliest predator is the guy everyone likes because nobody thinks to look closer. The red flag that truly shook me is how victims try so hard to look perfect to mask their suffering. Consider the women you know who appear indestructible. The ones who stay silent and never miss a beat. Are we truly paying attention to their well-being? Let me mention Christelle Lewisdor. She started a charitable organization known as Gen Zipu Haiti. Nancy Metayer Bowen actually gave her a ride to her first activist meeting. Christelle informed journalists at the memorial she was constantly showing up for everyone, every single day. Whenever we spoke, her first thought was always about how we could serve others, as she truly lived for everyone else. Nancy wasn't merely climbing the political ladder. She was investing in human potential and fostering future trailblazers within the Haitian American circle throughout Florida and across the nation. At the memorial service, Congressman Jared Moskowitz remarked that Nancy's victory in that upcoming election was essentially a done deal. She was just 3 days away from launching her campaign for the 20th Congressional District, a prestigious seat in the United States House of Representatives. With only 3 days left, her husband recognized the heights she was reaching, and on the evening of March 31st, he ensured her journey ended prematurely. 3 days, that was all that stood between her and a milestone that would have transformed her world in hours, making us wonder if Stephen Bowen sensed the magnitude of her move. Did that realization play a part in the tragedy that unfolded? Let's take a look at the current status of the legal proceedings. Authorities have charged Stephen Bowen with intentional first-degree murder, along with counts of altering or creating fraudulent physical evidence. Currently, he remains in custody without the possibility of bail at the Broward County Main Jail, following his initial hearing on April 2nd. He wasted no time in requesting legal representation, but then an unforeseen complication suddenly emerged in the case. Citing numerous personal and professional ties to Nancy among their staff, the Broward County Public Defender's Office requested to be removed from his defense. They argued that defending him posed a major ethical clash, yet Stephen Bowen lacks the funds for private counsel and was legally deemed indigent. While the Constitution guarantees him a lawyer, the very team assigned to protect his rights shared a history with the woman he is accused of murdering. Consequently, the court must now locate outside counsel, a process that stalls the trial and proves this legal battle is just beginning. The defense team withdrew due to their connection to Nancy, illustrating how her influence was so vast that even those meant to represent her alleged attacker couldn't stay impartial. This speaks volumes about the incredible legacy she left behind, much like the chilling emergency call that opened this segment. We heard a woman's desperate plea for help and an uncle who valued the truth more than shielding family. But I'd like to close on a different note. During the vigil, a dear friend expressed deep sorrow over the fact that Nancy had been enduring such a private, hidden struggle right under their noses. It is truly chilling to contemplate, and an anonymous coworker shared with the press how terrifying the whole situation feels. This story forces you to reevaluate your own personal connections, and that is the specific thought I want to stay with you today. I am not suggesting you live in fear or doubt, but rather that you act with purpose and reach out to your loved ones. Don't only focus on those who seem vulnerable, but keep a close eye on the people who appear perfectly fine, as they often need it most. Nancy Metayer Bowen seemed to have her life perfectly in order, yet she was taken from us before anyone thought to ask if she was truly okay. The central mystery remains unsolved. Was this a cold-blooded plan, or were there shadows inside that home that escaped the notice of everyone close to her? We are still awaiting the full truth as the trial looms, and if you are in an unsafe situation, please call 1-800-799-7233. Texting the word START to 88,788 is another option, so please post that info below to help someone in need, and share this video if it touched you. Don't just give this a like, distribute it, because someone you know might need to realize that a lack of obvious warning signs doesn't mean everything is safe. Since this story is far from finished, and the trial is still ahead, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss any updates on the case. Just before you go, I have one request. Drop the name of a woman you care about but haven't spoken with lately. Leave her name in the comment section below, and let's turn this platform into a place for genuine connection today. Some of the most heartbreaking tragedies don't happen in dark alleys or unfamiliar places, they happen inside homes that look perfectly normal. That's what makes stories like this so unsettling. On the surface, everything appeared ideal. A successful woman, a loving marriage, a life dedicated to helping others. But behind closed doors, a completely different reality existed, one that no one saw, or perhaps no one knew how to see. The most powerful lesson here is this: a lack of visible warning signs does not mean safety. We often believe that danger comes with obvious signals, loud arguments, visible injuries, or public breakdowns. But in many cases, especially those involving what experts call coercive control, the abuse is silent. It's psychological. It's subtle. And it's hidden behind smiles, social media posts, and carefully maintained appearances. The person suffering may look strong, successful, even happy while silently carrying fear, pressure, or isolation. This case forces us to confront an uncomfortable truth. People who seem the strongest are sometimes the ones struggling the most. Nancy was a leader, an advocate, someone who gave everything to her community. She showed up for others every single day. But like many people in similar situations, she may have felt the need to protect the image of her life, to keep everything looking okay, even if it wasn't. That pressure to appear perfect can be incredibly dangerous because it discourages vulnerability and hides real pain. Another critical lesson is about how we respond to concern. There were moments when something didn't feel right, missed appointments, uneasy conversations, subtle behavioral shifts. These moments matter. Too often, we second-guess ourselves. We assume everything is fine because we don't want to overreact. But sometimes, asking one more question, Making one more call or taking one more step could make all the difference. We also see the importance of choosing truth over comfort. The uncle in this story made an incredibly difficult decision to come forward, even when it meant turning in his own family. That act reminds us that justice and accountability must come before personal loyalty when lives are at stake. Ultimately, this isn't just a story about a crime, it's a reminder about connection, awareness, and responsibility. Check on the people in your life, not just the ones who seem vulnerable, but especially the ones who seem perfectly fine. Ask real questions. Listen carefully. Create space for honesty without judgment, because sometimes the most dangerous situations are the ones that look the safest, and sometimes a simple conversation can save a life.